It's like turning our microphones on or whatever else. Okay, so we are here, and I'm going to change my view to speaker only so I can see Robin, and then I'll move it again back to everyone.
Wonderful. Okay, so thank you everyone for sending in all of your questions. They were absolutely phenomenal. We got a huge array of them. So just want to thank you guys for sending those in ahead of time. We did actually get a lot of questions on hormone replacement therapy and hormone-sparing spay and neuter. So we wanted to just touch base on a little bit of that in regards to what to do if your dog has already been spayed or neutered. What is the protocol currently that Dr. Dobias recommends you working with your veterinarian in regards to helping your dog along with what we call spay and neuter syndrome?
So let's start. Or would you like me to start with the story? How about story? Shall
That
we?
sounds fantastic. Yeah.
Some of you guys know that my dog Pax started limping when he was about 2 years old. I remember the situation exactly because Dr. Becker and Rodney came to visit us in Prague. And sure enough, something had to happen. So they arrived and Pax started limping. So Dr. Becker and I remember that very vividly. And after that, it took me 2.5 years to solve the problem. And I initially tried everything. I tried, obviously, acupuncture and rehabilitation and physical therapy, chiropractics, supplements, but nothing really worked. And I even tried to book a specialist, my colleague, who I used to work with in Whistler, British Columbia, and he's now a board certified specialist. However, he was too busy to see me, which I'm really grateful for now because it made me look for other answers. And what happened, I basically was, you know how it is when we can't find the answer to the problems of our dogs. Like, it's heartbreaking. It's like I immediately turn into a dog dad. Like, I'm not a veterinarian, I panic. And so in the panic, I was looking through research studies and ran across the research study of Dr. Michelle Kutzler, who basically has run a study about 5 years ago that proved or showed that dogs that are neutered have suffered from hypothyroidism, increasingly more so, from cruciate ligament tears, from changes in behavior, from inflammatory changes, lameness, organ disease, pretty much the whole gamut of what we see in the practice. And even before then, there were some other studies in golden retrievers that actually suggested that there was increase in cancer and so on. And basically, it turned out that Pax guided me to this amazing source. And so I connected with Dr. Kutzler and interviewed her, which you can actually see the interview on my website and YouTube channel. And then I connected with Parsimus Foundation, which is the organization that sponsored the studies. So Dr. Linda Brent, who is the head of Parsimus, decided to, well, she basically convinced me to put Pax on hormone replacement therapy. And because I like to understand things, I decided to kind of take it through stages. So I put Pax on suprelorin, and suprelorin is actually a medication that reduces one of the hormones that elevates after dogs are spayed and neutered. And I will explain the principles a little more, but just basically I put him on suprelorin, which is the implant, and then testosterone. But I waited for the testosterone about a month. And so after the suprelorin, Pax, the first day, he slept like he ran a marathon. And I almost thought there was something wrong. And then he became happier and less inflamed, except with the testosterone, he started coat. And it was like shocking. Like within 3 weeks, there were clumps of hair everywhere. So I put him on injectable testosterone a month later. And he's been improving ever since. And it's not that he was bad 4 months later, but now a year and a half later, I have a dog that everyone thinks is a puppy. I have a dog that is constantly alert and wants to do things and is happy. He rarely sleeps during the day and he sleeps really well at night. His back is amazingly aligned. He regained his muscles and everything. So then I was super thrilled, but I thought, oh my goodness, like, what have we done? Like, what have we done to all these animals? And one of my team member, Kelly, had a golden retriever that just ruptured cruciate ligament and, lost all his muscles after he was neutered. So we put him on the Cipralerin and testosterone combination, and I'll explain that again, more detail. And then there was another patient of mine, a friend's dog who was diagnosed with mast cell tumor 5 years ago. And I use a treatment protocol that is very non-traditional, combining rapamycin, which is an immune modulant, and M&M, which is a DNA repair and mitochondrial boost. And 5 years later, this dog doesn't have more tumors. He's got tumors that are barely noticeable. And so last year, actually this spring, we also put him on HRT. And this one was a really tough nut because, he was already, his name is Monkey, a pit bull cross, lovely, lovely dog. Monkey was already senior, 10 years old, or kind of senior, and, sleeping and kind of depressed. And so I thought, why don't we just put him on HRT, hormone replacement therapy? So 3 months, nothing. And I kept texting my friend saying, so what's going on now? Oh, nothing. I don't see any difference. And so then after about 4 months, she started texting me, he wants to go for walks again, and he wants to go to dog park, and he's so happy. Like, I don't know what to do. She was used to the sleepy dog that didn't want to do anything. So, but it's so wonderful to see how dogs change. So after all this, I'm going to disclose something. Dr. Karen Becker and I decided that we are going to record about 6 or 7 hour series, 6-part or 7-part series on hormone replacement therapy. And I must say that I'm really grateful to Dr. Becker because in the 2000s, she had the guts to actually come out with the idea that the conventional spaying and neutering is not okay. And she was almost stoned, right? Like she was really ostracized for that. So now we are in 2025 and we understand that not spaying and neutering the conventional way doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to be promoting homelessness and unwanted population of dogs because we have vasectomy and we have also hormone-sparing spay, ovary-sparing spay. So when there's someone who actually gets really upset with us that we are promoting this, number one, I say we have other alternative methods for the shelters and organizations that really look after homeless dogs. And second, the conventional method of spaying and neutering is no longer recommended by the highest educational body in the world, that's World Small Animal Veterinary Association. In 2024, they issued a statement and a whole pretty much book or booklet on why regular traditional spay and neuter is no longer okay. And so, at 61, when I thought, oh, I'm just going to maybe make a few more formulas and just write and so on. Now suddenly we have this amazing project and I'm so excited because I suspect that all the conditions that we see in veterinary practice, maybe 50+% are related to the absence of sex hormones. And before we go on further and I explain to you why this is happening, I just want to say, keep your mind open, ask questions. I have nothing to gain from this. Like, this is not about supplements or anything that I do to make a living. This is just a passion project. And also this is a message that I feel I need to translate from canine to human. I think that this is the message that PAX brought me to pass on to you. And I'm really grateful. So Robin, is it okay if we go into explaining how the hormones work and then we'll go from there? And for those of you who I repeat myself for, it's okay. Repetition is, you will be teaching other people, so you have to explain it to them too, right? So, in the past, we kind of forgot that sex hormones are not only good for reproduction, they're super important for healthy metabolism. And healthy metabolism affects every cell in the body, every single cell. It's from your toe to your brain. And without the hormones, we kind of have a little bit of an idea what happens. For those of us who age, things change and shift. And we actually take our puppies that are sometimes 8 weeks old through forced menopause or andropause, where they don't experience the full life, the full being, because we never let them actually develop. And so, the physical changes, the lack of muscle growth and the lack of skeletal strength and all that, the osteoporosis and, tissue tears and weakness and so on, we see that in humans, but we also see it in these dogs. And we thought that, well, they're overbred, or maybe I'm not feeding the right food and so on. And then we feed the food and give all the supplements and our dog gets still sick. Like, this would not be the first time where I would see a message that says, I've been doing all I could and I followed your advice and my dog still got sick. And it doesn't necessarily mean that no dogs will get sick ever, but I suspect that it's going to be much different. So let's go to how the hormones work and how they're produced. I brought some props. I raided my fridge. I thought, okay, I should have a pea, but I have a blueberry, and then I have 2 tomatoes, ovaries, testicles, who knows? And so this is actually these 2 organs. One of them is the hypothalamus, and the other one is the pituitary gland, okay? And they sit at the bottom of the brain. And the hypothalamus is a messenger from your eyes, from your nose, from the nervous system to the pituitary gland. That is a connector bridge to the glands, whether it's the testicles or ovaries, or the thyroid gland, or the adrenal gland. So let's say that your pup, your dog, sees another female or smells another female. The hypothalamus registers that, and it triggers or releases gonadotropin releasing hormone, GnRH. And that hormone goes straight to the pituitary gland, and it releases follicle stimulating hormone for sperm production and egg production or egg release, and luteinizing hormone that actually stimulates the production of testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone, basically the hormones. So one of them is more like the manufacturing hormone, right, the FSH, and the other one is the hormone that actually stimulates the production of testosterone and estrogen. Let's kind of simplify it for now. So then these glands wake up and they go, okay, time to produce. And they release testosterone and estrogen. And if you have a computer, which you do, or phone, you can look up what estrogen and testosterone do. They basically increase the sex drive, they increase the metabolism. We know what testosterone does in men and women. Women have testosterone as well, and female dogs too. They make us feel good as well. They make us feel creative. They make us feel like life matters, and we want to explore and do all sorts of different things. So suddenly these glands are removed. There are 2 case scenarios. One of them is when we remove these testicles very, very early. And that's the most dangerous form of spay and neuter, because these poor dogs don't have time to develop tissues properly. And they never experience the full quality of life because they don't have sex hormones. Now, the second group is neutered later, whether it's at 1 year, 6 months, 1 year, maybe they're grown up a little bit, they have muscle mass and so on, and we remove these hormones. Well, what happens, and what happened to my dog, Pax, he grew very strong, and I made sure that he gets the right food and bones and, vegetables and supplements, and he grew super strong, and I was so happy. But when we neutered him at 2 years of age, he lost the muscle. And his body and his muscles were getting injured because he couldn't pull the strong skeletal system with the muscles that were weak. So if you look on my website at Hormone Health for Dogs, that's actually the blog or the article, Hormone Health for Dogs, FOR. you will see that he was limping like crazy. Like every walk, it broke my heart. And we went to, we couldn't stop. We had to stop swimming and we had to stop hiking. And I was feeling like failure completely. So basically, the absence of testicles is one issue, but the other issue is that the luteinizing hormone that is produced by the pituitary gland overproduces because there's no testicles, and it's like no one is at home and the pituitary gland is screaming, produce, produce, produce. No one is at home. It's like if you if you send your partner out with the garbage and they don't listen, right? The garbage, the garbage is like, yeah, the garbage doesn't get taken out. Anyway, with the luteinizing hormone, it elevates. I kind of see a flushing toilet, right? Like, if there is not enough hormones, normally hormone gets produced, luteinizing hormone gets produced. But if there are no testicles, it's like a leaky flushing toilet because there is no hormone. So the pituitary gland overproduces, and the luteinizing hormone is known to latch onto receptors elsewhere in the body because it doesn't have the ovaries and testicles to go to. So it latches onto the brain and the ligaments and the thyroid gland and the kidneys and the liver and so on, and causes inflammation. And we know that inflammation is a precursor to cancer. So the whole cascade of issues that we are kind of seeing and that Dr. Kutzler and other researchers have now determined and discovered is really heartbreaking. But it is extremely good news because with hormone replacement therapy, we can actually pretty much bring these dogs back to normal. And some of you may think, well, hormones, like, aren't they dangerous, like testosterone and estrogen? I don't think so. And while I am actually against, let's say, prednisone use or steroid use in general, the hormones that are missing, there's a difference when you supplement hormones that are not missing and you supplement them over the normal level, like bodybuilders. But if there's something missing, whether it's thyroid hormone or whether it's adrenal gland hormone or testosterone or estrogen, if you supplement them to the effective level, I have not seen any side effects. And I mean, PAX is on this for a year and a half. And the same with my colleagues and researchers, we have not seen any profound, significant side effects. I just see a healthy, happy dog. And so I even thought, maybe there could be some side effects down the road. But even if they were, the quality of life that I have now and that I probably will have with PAX for a long, long time is so worth it that I would not make any other changes. And the other thing that is kind of interesting, we go back to females and hormone replacement therapy. There is this big war happening in the human and veterinary medicine. Some people say we should not be giving it because, it increases the rate of cancer and, it's really dangerous and we should just let our dogs be spayed and neutered. Well, the studies actually, even if they say that there has been an increase of cancer, let's say, I'm just not going to state exact numbers, but let's say 50%, it would go from small percentile, less than 1%, from let's say 0.5 to 0.75, right? From the 100%, we have less than 1% getting the issue of cancer, and the relative increase is 50%, but it's negligent. It's almost nothing. And so the researchers who've done these studies a few decades back published the relative numbers, the relative increases, but not the absolute numbers and absolute increases. And that's super important, right? And if you have a dog that has actually cruciate ligament tears and chronic allergies and skin problems and inflammatory bowel disease and all those conditions that actually can be caused by the absence of hormones, I'd be taking a chance and actually putting my dog on HRT because I'm dealing with serious conditions, sometimes autoimmune conditions like, ulcerated skin and eventually cancer. Bone cancer is actually one of those issues that is linked, or mast cell tumor as well. And I've seen that. That as soon as dogs are put on HRT, their immune system calms down and takes a deep breath and goes up. And now we don't even need regular chiropractic adjustments and all that stuff because Pax is just fine. So once every 3 months, I call my friend and say, hey, I want to see you for a visit. So we just, see her, Auntie Lana, Dr. Lana Patterson from Vancouver, from Fort Langley, if you're in Vancouver. So anyway, I could go on and on and on and on. And the only other thing that I'm going to say before we get to the questions that I didn't answer in this rant is that there are several different methods of replacing hormones. And I personally like to use the minimal doses for the maximum effect. And we discovered that if we give testosterone doses that actually will bring our dogs to normal levels, that the luteinizing hormone is still elevated. For some strange reason, it doesn't slash it. We have to go to 3 to 5 times the dose that I give to Pax to actually see the drop in the luteinizing hormone. So I feel, and this is just my personal opinion, I feel that the Suprelaren medication, the implant that reduces luteinizing hormone, is actually a good method. Using Suprelaren to reduce luteinizing hormone and supplement testosterone at that level that is not too high. And I measured Pax's hormones, and they're at lower normal level. But oh my goodness, is he happy? And sometimes even humpy a little bit. Like when there's someone in the park and they have a female in heat, and he thinks that actually it's the owner that he should actually jump on. So he embarrasses me sometimes, but one time we were in the park and there was a lady with 4 Cavalier Charles girls. And so Pax was super excited because one of them was in heat. And in Europe, people are very kind of, they're kind of blasé and they make fun of things. So Pax started to kind of like be amorous with the lady, with the owner. And she said, oh my goodness, it hasn't happened to me for a long time. Yeah, it's sometimes funny how dogs are. They kind of get us out of our shell and make us experience funny situations. Anyway, with female dogs, we still have, I personally believe that we still have some research to do. Dr. Michelle Kutzler suggests estrogen, once a week estrogen, similar to urinary incontinence. And that is one way to go, together with Suprelaren or not, depending whether the luteinizing hormone is high or not. In my opinion, it's almost always high. So if you're asking, well, do we need to measure luteinizing hormone? And some vets are telling us that the test is not available or it's not indicative enough. They just tell you high, low, or not at all. So I personally feel that my inclination, based on my experience, is to give Suprelaren and estrogen or testosterone. But in female dogs, they normally go through the cyclic nature of their cycle, heat and post-heat period and so on. So I think that we could possibly eventually finally tune that protocol. And also females. Females produce about 10% of testosterone of male dogs, or human females produce 10% testosterone. And I think that actually is a valid opinion. I have some colleagues, Dr. Ruth Roberts, she actually has been giving her aging female dog testosterone only. And, she's happy. So I don't necessarily think that there is one size fits all. And as time progresses, we're going to be learning more. And we'll see where we end up. It's like everything new is a little messy or not clear. And then we become more clear, right? So that's in a nutshell, very long nutshell, but a very big nutshell.
An important one. Just for everyone asking in regards to veterinarians in their area that can help with hormone replacement therapy, I did put a link into the Parsonmas Foundation vet directory into the comments. It is also on our website underneath the Hormone Health for Dogs. And some questions. So with males, if we can leave them intact essentially forever if we're being responsible, what about females? Is there a risk?
Yeah, really good question. Thank you for asking. I had to kind of come to terms with one fact that about 25% of intact females will eventually end up with pyometra. And we don't really know whether there's some other, well, we know that there are other factors and general health and slowing down metabolism and maybe mitochondrial energy and the immune system is failing and the hormonal balance is actually changing as dogs age or human age. So females, 25% females will get pyometra. And pyometra is a life-threatening condition. It's an inflammation of the inner lining of the uterus, and it becomes filled with pus and liquid, and it can be really serious. So dogs usually end up in an emergency surgery, and we don't want that. And the risk of 25% from my perspective is quite high. So if you have a female dog, I'd suggest that you actually, if you don't breed them, if you're not a breeder, that you remove the uterus and spare the ovaries. Now, the surgery is slightly different. The incision is slightly larger, but Dr. Michelle Kutzler is very willing to actually train veterinarians around North America and the world actually in this procedure. And there are some other surgeons who actually train veterinarians how to do this. Parsemus does have the list, so you can actually go on the list. But in my opinion, and I know that Dr. Karen Becker agrees as well with me, we recommend ovary-sparing Spays. And if I had a female dog, I would actually go for ovary-sparing Spays. And if not early on in their age, then definitely by middle age. But I don't have the data that says dogs of this and this age have higher likelihood of ending up with pyometra. I'd have to look it up. But generally, this is the recommendation.
Great. And is it ever too late to start HRT?
I know a dog that was put on HRT at 17, at the age of 17, the same dog as the same protocol as Pax, doing really well. I actually think that this is, if it's never too late, that's the beauty. But it will take longer time. So if you have let's say if you have a dog at the end stage of life, and you kind of suspect that within the next few months, things may not go well, I would still do it. I would also add M&M, which is a mitochondrial booster. And we actually have some good news. We finally, after this whole battle in the United States where M&M was not allowed, it's finally back and we are able to sell it. And so we will be launching a new product, which is even better than the previous one, because when you give M&M, which is a mitochondrial booster, and you can read about it on my website, when you give M&M, it depletes methyl groups that are important for the metabolism of cells and energy. And so we thought, why don't we just add an ingredient that will provide the methyl groups. So I'm not going to tell you more, but stay tuned, subscribe to our newsletter because it's coming soon. And I'm super excited. And so if you, going back again to the HRT for older dogs, absolutely. But remember that it will take anywhere from 3 to 6 months for you to see the difference, especially in an older dog. And so if you do have the time, I suspect that you will see a difference too. And it's kind of amazing because I started thinking about all the dogs that I've seen in my practice and the conditions that they had, and sometimes the conditions that we struggled to actually correct and help them with. It's heartbreaking. And this morning, I had probably one of the happiest moments of at least this week, and if not the month. There was a lady walking with a 6-month-old puppy, and I'm getting out of the car with Pax from a walk, and I said hi, and the puppy was absolutely gorgeous. I should actually show you. Where's my phone? I don't have it. Oh, I may have it actually. I'll show you the puppy. I'll be right back. So I'm seeing this lady with the puppy, This is the puppy. This beautiful, beautiful, beautiful dog. And the first thing that I ask her is your dog neutered? Because he's 6 months. And she says, no, not yet, but we are thinking about it. So sure enough, I gave her the blog and gave her the article and felt really good about giving her the information. And she says, I was wondering whether we should do that. I'm so glad. And those are the situations where you go like, wow, how did that happen? It's so interesting when we just kind of can make a difference in the flash of a second. Can I give you another story, you guys? 13 years ago, I was driving in Maui and driving to Whole Foods, getting some food, and there was a dog crossing my path, and he had a vest that said, Adopt Me. There was a local organization. And so I parked, went shopping, and again, like I was thinking, I can't have a dog, but the dog crossed my path again. So I decided to find a home for it, and we actually brought him back to Canada. His name is Scout. And I haven't seen Scout for the 13 years. So I knew that he had an amazing, amazing life. And last week, I run into the owner again. And I asked how Scout was. And she says, he's 13 and a half and he's having problems with mobility and so on. And I said, you know what? Here's an article. I think that this may help. So again, how faith and the energy of the world and the universe kind of brings us to the right places at the right time, right? Like this dog, like he crossed my path once and I was able to change the path of his life, and he and his mom are like this. And then 13 years later, again, like, isn't that fascinating and amazing? Anyway, so I'll stop with stories. Let's go back to questions.
Oh, I love it. A quick question about, sorry, I'm just going back to the HRT. Oh goodness, where did it go? Oh, here we go. So can you actually feed any kind of glandular support nutritionally,
Yeah,
diet, or is it not the same?
a really good question. I I'll go back to the story again. In vet school, you know, students, like we were poor and we did not have much resources for food. And so we thought, okay, once in a while we organize a party. And you know how you make schnitzels actually? It was very popular among the students to actually make schnitzels out of bull testicles, right? So we were always joking about the possibility that it will have some side effects. But nevertheless, like I think feeding glands may provide some hormones, but it's not standardized, and you don't really know how much you give. And you know that every dog is different, have different level hormone production. The same applies to people, and the same applies to even the animals where the hormones or the glands are sourced from. So I would not, this is just my opinion again. Like I'm not necessarily saying that there shouldn't be studies done. I think that would be fantastic if we could just give our dogs testicles and they would be fine. Um, I just feel that I would go for the injectable medication that is standardized. That's just my opinion. I just like to have reliable results. Even though I may be integrative and I may kind of have a holistic mind, I still like some medication standardized because I know what I can expect. And I know that I will see.
Yeah, fantastic. Do you mind if we move on to joint health?
Absolutely.
Okay. You had actually mentioned the risk of a CCL tear, especially in dogs that have been neutered, especially early. But what kind of care and post-op support can you give a dog that's gone through a CCL injury?
Yeah, so I almost feel like we need to kind of start talking about prevention. That's even more
Mm.
important. For those of
Mhm.
you who don't have a dog with cruciate ligament tear, remember that neutering predisposes them. Also, large breeds and certain angulation of the legs and so on predisposes them. But the ligament may tear on one day. Kind of, many people say I walked my dog or he jumped and suddenly he yelped and he had his leg lifted and didn't want to put any weight on it. But usually the ligaments have fibers and they just kind of tear gradually, right? Like they kind of fray. And we know that this is the inflammation, and it's also an immune kind of process where the immune system starts, trying to kind of take out the inflamed tissue and so on. It starts eroding the ligament. So inflammation together with the lack of hormones and lack of strength and so on. So that's super important. So if you have a dog that is actually neutered and has not had cruciate ligament, I'd pretty much like, I don't think this is an extreme. I think that this is just based on what I see. I would put pretty much every dog that is out there and has been neutered or on HRT. And as we have the data and more data is coming up, I'm sure that we are going to see fewer sick dogs. We're going to see lower morbidity. I mean, there's going to be less disease. And even though sick too, but I think that they and spay dogs, but they will have better quality of life overall. So going back to the post-surgical care, we had recorded a video with Dr. Lori McCauley, my dear friend. She's so much fun. If you guys haven't watched her courses and haven't signed up for her courses, she's the best. And we also have a video on our website, an YouTube interview with her, or a couple, maybe 3. And she's fantastic. So what she suggests is obviously like there's to be certain level of rest after surgery, and then start moving relatively fast and make sure that the knee starts moving so you don't have this kind of stiffness and rigidity. And then obviously combination of joint supplements, omega oils, omega-3s are as strong as NSAIDs, the anti-inflammatory drugs, without the side effect. So heavy doses, 3 times the amount of normal dosing of omega-3s. And mobility has been a problem for PACS. And also 2 years ago, I injured my shoulder and I suffered from injured shoulder. So what do? I formulated product. So I formulated JointPowder and JointPowder for humans. And this is a fermented formula, and I really love it. Like I've started using it at the same time we started HRT with PACS, but I am not on HRT, and I started using JointPowder for my shoulder, and I can swim, and I was not able to lift my arm like this. And you, Robin, have seen me, right? Like I had really serious problems, and I have full range of motion now. And there are days where I go like, I'm 61, I should be more stiff. So anyway, if you wanted to try JointPowder, it's fermented and it's a dual stage fermentation, which consists of putting all the herbs and superfoods and pernamussel and everything, turmeric, everything in a fermentation stage, adding 5 to 10 different probiotics. And then we ferment them. And the probiotics actually incorporate the nutrients in its own mass. And then we stop the fermentation by adding digestive enzymes. Not only the active ingredients, you also have the probiotic, the postbiotics, and all the byproducts of the fermentation, which increases the bioavailability and anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and also anti-cancer effect based on research, 7 to 10 times. So, some people say, Peter, your supplements are way too expensive, but our supplements are so different. And one of the reasons why I don't want to retire is that if my company was purchased, that it would change, because there are some other companies in the human industry that produce fermented products. And one of our team members, I'm not going to name the company, but one of our team members actually used to work for them. And as soon as they were acquired by one of these giants, what they did, they stopped fermenting. They put 1 or 2 ingredients that are fermented, and they call it fermented. And as long as you're alive, your dogs are alive, and my dog is alive, I don't want to change anything because it's super important. So yeah, that's going back. Laser, super important. I'll show you something. When PACS got started limping, and we kind of tried to solve his issue. And, we didn't really know that it was hormones. We started using laser. And so I have this laser. It it cost about 5,000 Canadian, which means about 30 American, just kidding, 3,500 roughly American dollars. And I use it on regular basis. Not that packs limbs at all, but I actually use it as maintenance because Dr. Lori McCauley will show you and tell you that laser not only improves blood circulation and healing of the body, it also promotes the formation of stem cells, which are the cells that actually can transform into any tissue and heal tissue, right? Repair tissue. So with my shoulder, I actually put myself on JointPowder and I did laser therapy. And with packs as well, we put him on hormones, JointPowder, and laser therapy. And those would be besides stretching and exercise, maybe water walking and so on, those would be the most important parts of helping your dog to recover from cruciate ligament tear. Also lumbar spine alignment, because lumbar spine often is quite stressed in dogs. They're kind of like the design is a little funky there, especially as we bred. And yeah, they can get sore there and it can affect their legs. I'd suggest to anyone who has the spare cash to get laser for your dog and for yourself. It's absolutely amazing. Like I would not believe that some sort parts heal as well. Right now I don't have any pain, which is like, wow, 2 years ago I would not say that. So anyway, but yeah, I'm not an expert. Dr. Lori McCauley is a board certified specialist, rehabilitation and sports medicine specialist. So just go to her website. It's Optimum Vitality.
Optimum Pet Vitality.
Petvitality.com. And also we have some podcasts and videos on our website. So just go and check it out.
And what brand of laser is that? We have a couple questions on that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. This is Chattanooga. So these are like medical grade laser, but and I really have to take the course of Dr. Lori McCauley to know and understand how to use it. This is called Chattanooga, Ooga, Chattanooga. And this is sophisticated laser, but some of them are like $10,000 or $20,000, and I think this one has done a job. So yeah.
And now with the fermentation for joint powder, does that still mean you have to take a probiotic? We had a question on that.
Yeah, that's so interesting because it's actually different. So it's a different probiotic culture. So the culturing is actually done with different probiotic bacteria than the gut bacteria, Saccharomyces, it's a beneficial form of yeast that is actually known to again have a whole bunch of different positive effects on the body, and you can actually look at Saccharomyces positive effect with AI or look it up. But yeah, it's different. And so what do we do actually with GutSense? And this is actually something that I should be talking more about fermentation because I have so many people wondering why our products are more complicated and more expensive. And actually, we just kind of take them through the process that makes them more potent. And that's one of the reasons why, and I'm really grateful for your reviews, but we have currently like 4.9 reviews with our products, with stars out of 5. So I always, whenever I feel down, I go back to the reviews and read the stories, and it's just so much fun. So I am going to slow down a little tiny bit to tell you that GutSense, what we have, there are some digestive tract supporting ingredients. And there's alfalfa, and there is dandelion root, and some other ingredients, ginger and coriander, cilantro, and we ferment those ingredients, and then we put the live probiotics actually after the fermentation process, because the fermented ingredients have the probiotics that have been, we stop the fermentation, and then we actually put the live probiotics in the product. So it's probiotic than you see anywhere else. And I dare to say that we're probably the only company that produces fermented products, period, for animals, for dogs. And yeah, it's I love it. I love it. And I was very fortunate to kind of be nosy, and 15, 20 years ago that I actually discovered the effect of fermented ingredients. And then I made um, the original owners of one of the companies that used to make fermented products. They since sold. And yeah, we were very lucky. And so the person who's invented the proprietary fermentation process, he's like my friend, like family. He's retired now, but he's amazing. So yeah.
And now GutSense, should you rotate through probiotics? Is it safe to give long term? Should you give it long
Yeah, yeah.
term?
No matter what I say, I'm kind of biased, right? So you can either take it or leave it. But I've seen all sorts of different opinions. People say, oh, you shouldn't be giving probiotics at all, and it's all not necessary, and so on. I think that some probiotics on the market are probably not that great, but I also have a rule that I don't criticize and comment on other products, which makes it easier for us. But I have recently recorded a video saying, those people who say that we should not use probiotics, let's actually look at the number twos of your dog and the other dogs that don't get probiotics. Like, I like to see it because, this morning I went for a walk with Pax, and he had a bowel movement right on the dam. Like, we were walking, and no, it wasn't on the grass, it was right on the dam. So I almost took a picture because it was so beautiful. It was like brown greenish tones, so, beautifully formed, no smell. Like, I was going like, wow, perfect number two, right? Like, we get so happy. And yeah, so I I get a little frustrated, but I also know that I can't convince anyone. The only thing that I just recently recorded a video, and getting back to the video, that maybe those people who are saying no probiotics and no supplements, no minerals and omegas and vitamins, maybe we should do like a little contest or competition. Maybe we should go for a run and swim and bike ride and take our t-shirts off and see who's actually healthier. So I don't have all the answers to dogs' problems and human problems. But I tell you one thing, I'm kind of that I see dogs that are on supplements doing so much better. And I'm completely shocked that at 61, I can go to a gym class with 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, and I can keep up with them. And I don't have joint pain. Like, when I was 30, actually, when I was 20, I was thinking, year 2000, I'll be 36, I'll be old. Now I'm almost double the age, or not really, but 40% older. I thought that at 60, I'll be barely moving. And so, and that I'll be depressed and not really happy about life anymore, waiting to die. And it's not happening. So it doesn't necessarily mean that obviously we all are going to die, unless someone will come up with eternal living, and I'll be really miserable. But for our dogs, it'd be nice if we could live forever with them. Anyway, um, you just have to try it and see. Like, if someone tells me, I'll give you $1 million and I'll take your supplements away, you can't take them for the rest of your life, I'd say you take your million. So yeah. And again, it's so hard for me because I almost feel like I would prefer not formulating the formulas and not selling them. But if I tell people, your dog needs omega-3s and your dog needs vitamins, and then I know that I can make really awesome and formulate really awesome products, and I don't, doesn't really make sense, right? So I kind of put up with the odd person that kind of tells me, oh, you're just selling products. Well, I'm taking them. I'm suggesting exactly the same thing as I do for my dog and myself. Like, you don't need to take them. You don't need to buy them. And I know I sometimes feel bad. I wish they could be like 1 quart, but they can be. And, we would not exist... So anyway.
And now, with that being said, is there one supplement that is a must?
This is like, you know, when you look up to the stars and you go like infinite, like come on, like is that possible? Like this is exactly the same feeling I have when someone asks me, like, is there one supplement that is important? It's almost like imagine you're boarding a plane and you go like, you know, are the wings or the wheels or the engine more important? Like I just, you know, metabolically, when you start looking at the different nutrients, uh, they're all important in different way. If you ask me what you'll see the most difference with, you know, green mint was the first product. It's a simple product, and mineral depletion is really serious. In the early 90s, they discovered that our soils are severely depleted by nutrients, and it was early 90s. So now we're in 2025, it's much worse. And we understand that when we go in the garden, that the tomatoes need nutrients, and we recognize if a house plant actually doesn't have what it needs. And we somehow expect that our bodies will function without the building parts, right? It's like, it's just not possible. It's like you go to a concert, it's a violin and cello, and the cello is missing, and you know, and what do you do? Or it's like you go to a factory that builds bikes, and they say, well, you know, we run out of wheels, but here's your bike, right? Like, just like we can't really. So it's really simple, you know. Health and medicine actually is not as complicated as it may be, and you know, I feel sometimes kind of a little challenged by the fact that 80%, in my opinion, 80% of all the different health conditions and problems that we suffer from, or our dogs, stem from nutrition or deficiencies or toxicity and spinal alignment issues and maybe some aging. So, you know, if we need to boost mitochondria, that's another thing. But it's really simple. Like you know, if I have a dog with liver disease, or if I have a dog with kidney, about 80% of the treatment protocols will be similar. I detox, I provide the right nutrients, I provide omegas to repair cells and make sure that the kidney tissue doesn't deteriorate further. And I provide probiotics because they will actually improve the kidney toxin absorption and metabolism. And so I actually build the body. I get rid of what shouldn't be there. Then I build the body up. Then I align the spine. With older animals, provide mitochondrial boosters like NMN, and then see what is left. And this is the beautiful part. And you know, we make it so complicated. Like people are used to using this for that, and it really doesn't work like that in nature. If you look at nature, nature gets rid of things, provides nutrients, and resets. You know, nature resets by seasons, right? Like it resets, it goes through a cycle as well. Yeah. So, yeah, the only, like I would say, see what resonates with you. Like if you have mobility issues, start with joint support. If you think that your dog or yourself don't have good energy, maybe start with green mint and some vitamins. You know, osteoporosis is super, super common in women, but also in men. And the simple ingredient, alga calcarea, that was originally just fed to farm animals in Brazil, and the farmers discovered that the animals do better. Then it was used in treatment of osteoporosis in women. And they discovered that in research that alga calcarea increases the bone density by 1% every year while these people were aging. And bone fractures are one of the most predominant causes early death and a decline. Because when an older person fractures their bones, they actually will end up very sick. And many of them will not be able to make it. With dogs and cats, they're not as prone to osteoporosis because they don't live as long, and for some reason that's not their shtick. But they do need minerals. You know, it's like really like it's like someone invites you to concerto and it's like 100 people concerto and half of the people don't show up, or symphony orchestra, half of the people don't show up. That's not going to be the same music. And the body, there's 37,000 with 37,000 billion, which is 37 with 21 zeros, chemical reactions taking place in the body every second. Every second.
Crazy.
And then choose, like, maybe the engines are, maybe we can leave the engines at the airport and, or maybe how about the wheels, the tires? How about the glass, the windows? The pilots would have fun, a little cabriolet. Actually, do you remember that there was this plane in Hawaii? The fuselage failed and it basically landed as a cabriolet, like I think in the 80s, like Aloha Air. So if you want to look it up somewhere online, it's nobody, well, actually, unfortunately, one person died, the flight attendant, but everyone else survived. And it basically landed without the fuselage. That was crazy. So, yeah, it is so much simpler. And I'm so grateful that you're here and that you're still listening for those who stuck it out. And I'm here for you. Like, I really love this. Like, it makes me happy. And I know that Robin, she's if you haven't met Robin before, she's the dog lover extraordinaire. Tell us about your
Thank
dogs a little bit.
you. I can tell you a little bit about them. I have five. I have four Ridgebacks and a little street dog from India. And I am super grateful to be a part of this team and doing part of the mission that just helps dogs and humans and, being able to live our best lives with our dogs. I think they bring so much joy to us, and it's so important to make sure that they do that healthily and pain-free and, as many summers as we can get.
That's a term that is Robin's, and I love it. Like I always think of the summers when now since you told me.
I love it.
Do we have any other questions? I
I
think I can go
do.
for 15 more minutes for those
Okay.
who, yeah. And then, I have to confess, I made a mistake in the calendar this morning. I don't even know how it happened. Like I usually don't go in my calendar as far down. So Robin calls me in the afternoon and says, Peter, like we have a broadcast this evening. And I said, oh my goodness, like I forgot. And I had dinner booked with friends, and they were very gracious and they changed it to later. So I have to finish at 7:15 because we're gonna go for dinner after. I make the mistakes. I make a mistake with the. My partner tells me that I should say we go to dinner, not a dinner, but I always make these mistakes. So the ESL disability never stops being a problem.
I actually do have one question on LiverTune and detox and the importance of doing that. I know we used to recommend a slightly different protocol than what we do now.
Mm.
What did you find different when you switched?
When I switched from one protocol to another, well, the
Mhm.
funny part was that I actually caught myself recommending something different than I was doing, because I started taking LiverTune whenever I felt like I either nasal congestion or I felt a little low energy or something like that. Paxi, why don't you come on? No, he's not gonna come. Come on, Paxi. He's so naughty. Anyway, Paxi, come. I'll bring him just for a moment. Then I'll continue on the LiverTune. Come on. You have to you have to say hi to everyone. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You're so stubborn. Oh my goodness. Oh. What do you think? Oh my goodness, this is so boring.
It's nice foaming.
So, so LiverTune, um, we originally formulated for liver enzyme elevation, liver disease, and it's been working really well. I'm really happy with the results, and many people report it's actually one of the products I think that even has like straight 5-star rating. But anyway, used to recommend it either for liver disease on an ongoing basis if there was elevation of liver enzymes like ALT, and in dogs that did not have any liver issues, we would recommend a month cleanse every 6 months. And then I caught myself to take it, for a week or two, every month or two. And I felt really great. And I also noticed that with some patients and some dogs, and even in my own body, that LiverTune, because it has ashwagandha, it has turmeric, it has some other adaptogens and superfoods, it actually really tones down the immune system. So I'll give you an example. My friend's dog who's had chronic ear issues, she learned that if the a little bit, that she gives LiverTune and the ears calm down, right? So if your dog is allergic, or if your dog has diarrhea, or if there is any kind of immune agitation, that this product actually seems to, as a side effect, it seems to calm the immune system down. So I recommend now to give LiverTune for a week every month, and that's what I do. And I sometimes go even for 2 weeks, if I have more stress or something like that, but it's it's a GutSense, because I think that we live in an environment that is not that clean. And while I didn't expect this kind of effect from LiverTune, I'm really grateful for it. And we are actually thinking about making it a basis for some other products that we are going to be launching sometimes in the future.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you. And now, oh, can I do, sorry, 1 second here. Actually quickly touching on diets for liver and kidney. We do have a lot of questions in regard to, is there something that I should be doing specifically? Should I be reducing protein? Is it safe to feed raw? What are your thoughts on liver and kidney?
Let's start with kidneys, because it's actually much simpler.
Sure.
When I started practicing in Canada, obviously I hopped on board with the diets and low protein diets in older animals and low protein diets in dogs and cats with kidney disease. And they looked like bone racks. And we were taught that this is a result of kidney disease, the wasting protein, while we depleted these animals of basic nutrients and protein. And we know now how important protein is. So very shortly after, when I started feeding raw food, I basically started putting dogs and cats with kidney disease on high quality protein diet, with the exception of the last stage of kidney disease, which can be prevented. I've seen amazing results in actually lengthening of the span. These animals lived for years without any major problems. Like, they didn't go for dialysis. They lived normal lives, cats and dogs, on high quality protein diet. So I think one of the issues that I see in conventional veterinary medicine, and I respect my conventional minded colleagues, and it's needed in our world to have both. But I think that the low protein diet is not a correct idea. And I stand behind it. I've seen it over the course of the last 30 years. When it comes to liver disease, um, I'm not a Chinese medicine practitioner, but I think that it is important. And Dr. Judy Morgan, for example, she's written a book on, hot meats and foods and cooling meats and so on. There may be some mention on liver disease, but I tell you what my general recommendation is. I don't really feed lower protein diet. Again, we need to supply our animals with the building blocks that they need to be healthy if they were healthy. And then what I would modify with these dogs is actually the amount of fat. Not omegas, like omegas are fine, but the fatty meats, right? Like, I would probably be giving more game meats. I would give leaner meats, and I would also observe how our dogs do after we feed the different meats, right? Some dogs get overheated, so you shouldn't be giving them the meats that are actually heating, like poultry. And you should be giving them meats like duck or rabbit, cooling. We do have the recipe maker on our website, and there are a few details about which meats are heating and cooling and so on. But I think that reducing the kind of the animal fat from your dog's diet is actually important. And also, if the liver enzymes are elevated, most likely you will see reduction of the enzymes if you start LiverTune or similar products. But again, LiverTune is not only fermented, it's also certified organic, packaged in glass, and so on. So I'm proud of our products, but you know, it's that's what I would do. That's what I recommend. That's it. It's simple.
Fantastic. And for, do you want to touch on a specific protocol for dogs that might have an allergy or a skin coat, chronic illness? Is there a one size fits all, or what are your thoughts about different products for conditions, essentially?
Yeah. I think we'll make this the last question, and I'll tell
Yeah,
you
you
why,
bet.
because I think that I probably will go on for a little moment.
Okay.
Um, we are so used to this for that approach, and it doesn't necessarily need to be conventional medicine. Holistic medicine and integrative medicine is kind of directed towards this is for kidneys, this is for liver, this is for allergies, this is for cancer. And we actually really forget that if we remove what the body should not contain, like toxins and mercury and pesticides, and reduce the environmental toxins and so on, then provide the essential nutrients, then align the spine and boost the mitochondria, that most of these conditions actually improve. I used to suffer from allergies. My recipe for allergies was kind of interesting. Nutrition, huge amount. So no dairy. I don't do really well on meat products. Probiotics and all that. My general sense is that many dogs that are allergic are actually suffering from the luteinizing hormone elevation and the Spay and Neuter syndrome. And there are some dogs that would suffer from allergies outside of that group, but it's relatively small. So if you have a dog that has allergies, the first step that I would take them through the healing cycle, detox, and then provide the essentials, and then maybe even put them on, well, LiverTune is detox, so then essentials and omega oils. And then I would really consider hormone replacement therapy. There is another thing that is often forgotten, that dogs that are itchy and scratchy may sometimes have muscle injury or spinal injury or misalignment, and they can't massage, they will chew and scratch. And some dogs really do have agitated immune system, right? They get red and they're just like going crazy and chewing and chewing and scratching and making their skin red. Those are the dogs that most likely have Spay and Neuter syndrome. And if you do put them on hormone replacement therapy and the condition doesn't go away completely, you will most likely see an improvement in their quality anyway. So, again, like, you do the basics, which you can find on my website. It's the healing cycle. It's the detox, provide aligned spine, provide hormones if they're missing, and see what is left. And then you can do something specific, right? Like, if I give you an example, if or I do blood work and I suspect that there is Cushing's disease, adrenal gland hyperfunction, that can cause really serious skin issues, and I have to address that. Or or if I have a dog that has hypothyroidism, then we have to address that. And I would not be afraid to actually put a hypothyroid dog on thyroid hormone, because it's missing and the body cannot produce it. But you know what the bizarre thing is, let's say with Cushing's disease, that when the pituitary gland goes into overdrives and yells at the testicles and ovaries that are not there, it actually starts getting larger, and it may actually start producing other hormones in overproduction, like stimulating the adrenal glands. and it can cause other problems, right? So we've seen also pituitary tumors and I don't really know whether there is a link between spaying and neutering and pituitary tumors, but I would not be surprised if that was there. Because we basically make the pituitary gland go into overdrive by removing the glands. It's like there's no, there's normally a feedback mechanism. This gland produces testosterone, produces luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing hormone stimulates the gonads that produces testosterone. This gland registers testosterone, says, okay, I can calm down, I can shut off the production of luteinizing hormone. As soon as this is gone, pituitary gland just produces and produces and overproduces. It yells, it says, where are my testicles? Where are my ovaries? And nobody's home, right? And start noticing how different these animals are. Like I've been lucky because I'm originally from the Czech Republic, and in Europe, some countries don't allow neutering and spaying. Some countries allow it, but it's not as common. So I suddenly started seeing these strong, healthy dogs in their teens. And I go, wow, I don't see that much in Canada and the US. And just kind of, yeah. But please, please, please don't feel bad for doing this or for spaying and neutering your dog. We didn't know any better. But the good news is that we now have a remedy. The only challenge is that in the United States, testosterone is still controlled and suprelorin is only approved for ferrets, but we hope that it's going to change. And you can ask your veterinarian, say, I'm going to sign a waiver that you're giving the suprelorin off-label. So many medications in veterinary medicine are given off-label. This would not be the first time. Like Dr. Ruth Roberts and I had just had a conversation, and she's saying, did you know that only 11% of the medical protocols and medicine that we use in veterinary medicine is double-blind and peer-reviewed? 11%. I don't really know whether this number is exact, but I do suspect that it is actually quite low. And we've been medication off label. I, as a veterinarian, can prescribe medication from the human and the animal arsenal, veterinary arsenal, because we use human medication all the time. So you can read the article and it'll kind of give you an idea. It'll give you some information. You can listen to the interviews there and so on. And I think time is up. I would like to hang out more. Thank you so much for being here, for being with us. I can't even tell you how happy I am that we have such great community. You're the best community in the world, I think. I do. We're not huge, but I think that we're good and solid. And thank you so much for being here. And Robin, thank you so much for helping us to navigate through the questions. I'll try to do this once a month at least. Maybe subscribe to the newsletter on our website to make sure that you. And we'll try to also publish this to everyone if you miss it. Okay. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.